Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we are deep diving into the world of international rugby, specifically the Argentine national team, Los Pumas. And really, they're one of the most exciting, but also, let's be honest, historically frustrating teams on the planet. So we have to ask the big question. Are Los Pumas a legitimate contender for the 2027 Rugby World Cup in Australia? Are they ready for a final, or are they still, that famously inconsistent flip coin team?
That is the absolute core of it, isn't it? We're looking at a team that's currently ranked 5th in the world as of late 2024. They are by far the best team in the Americas.
Right.
And they have the history. They've made 3 World Cup semifinals, 2007, 2015, and just recently in 2023. But the story's always been that they can't quite get over that final hurdle. They're inconsistent.
So our mission today is to dig into the sources, to really analyze the huge tactical and personnel shifts that suggest Argentina is targeting something bigger this time. Not just another semifinal, but their first ever World Cup final. And to figure out where they're going, I think we have to start with where this all began.
Yeah.
The end of the 2023 cycle.
Absolutely. The 2023 World Cup in France was the clear catalyst for this whole change. Los Pumas, they had a strong tournament. They finished 2nd in their pool to England and ended up 4th overall.
And that bronze medal match against England, it was just agonizingly tight. They were down big, they fought all the way back, and then lost 23-26. It was a real battle.
It really was. In fact, the England captain, Owen Farrell, even said afterwards that his team had to, and I quote, grind out the result. It shows that Argentina pushed them right to the very end. They were good, but
just not quite good enough.
Exactly. And the change afterwards was immediate. The head coach, Michael Chaika, was out, and his assistant, Felipe Contepomi, was in, with a contract specifically designed to run through to the 2027 World Cup.
Yeah. And Contepomi isn't just any assistant stepping up. This guy is a legend.
Oh, he's an institution. A World Rugby Hall of Fame inductee, a former captain, 87 caps for his country. Putting him in charge was a massive statement of intent.
Okay, let's dig into his philosophy then, because this seems to be where the whole identity shift starts. People call him the doctor in charge, and it's not a joke. He's literally a medical doctor.
Yeah, he is. He graduated from the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland about 18 years ago. He even worked in his father's medical practice in Buenos Aires. He brings a kind of intellectual rigor you don't always see.
So it's less about raw passion and more about a surgical plan for how to win.
That's a perfect way to put it. And that philosophy is really rooted in his time playing and coaching at Leinster in Ireland. Mm-hmm. The sources call it the collision aggregate theory.
The collision aggregate theory. Okay, that sounds very academic. You have to break that down for us.
It does sound academic, but on the field, it's all about speed. The idea is that, look, all professional rugby teams are physically massive now, so trying to win just by being bigger and stronger, it's a game of diminishing returns.
You can't just bully your way to a World Cup anymore.
You can't. So Contepomi's idea is victory through speed and precision. It's about the efficiency of your running lines, how quick your rucks are, how clean the ball is. It's about creating so much momentum that the defense can never, ever get set.
So it's a death by 1,000 cuts, not a knockout punch.
Exactly. You're replacing brute force with overwhelming speed.
But doesn't that feel like a huge risk? Argentinian rugby's identity was always the scrum, that forward, dominant, Bajada mentality. If you move away from that, aren't you incredibly vulnerable to a team like South Africa or France?
That is the calculated risk, 100%. They are consciously choosing a more sophisticated, all-round game. And to make it work, Contepomi built a really interesting coaching staff. He brought in a New Zealander, Brad Moore, as his attack coach.
Oh, wow. Moore has an incredible resume. He was with the Crusaders for their Super Rugby three-peat. He's worked with the All Blacks, with Scotland.
Right. So what you have is this blend. You've got the Southern Hemisphere flair and attacking mindset from Moore, combined with that Northern Hemisphere structure and discipline from Contepomi's time at Leinster. The goal is an adaptable team that can win in different ways.
And we don't have to guess if it's working. The sources give us some pretty concrete proof from the recent Rugby Championship results. Tell us about the 2024 campaign.
The 2024 campaign was, historic. It was their best ever rugby championship record. They finished with 3 wins and 3 losses.
But it's who they beat that matters, right?
That's the key. For the first time ever in a single tournament, they beat New Zealand, they beat South Africa, and they beat Australia. That's the kind of result that says, we're not the flip coin team anymore.
And the defining moment, the real statement of this new identity, had to be that game against Australia in September 2024.
Oh, the 67-27 win in Santa Fe. That result alone tells you everything you need to know about the tactical shift.
67 points.
Right.
That's not just a win, it's a demolition. Is that proof that the old forward-heavy Pumas are gone for good?
In that game, absolutely. They scored 9 tries. They ran for 780 meters. And just to put that score in perspective for you, that 67-point total is the most points Australia has ever conceded in a test match in their entire history.
Wow.
It is definitive proof that this high-tempo, precision-based attack can work at the very highest level.
And it wasn't a one-off. The sources point to the 2025 results, too, showing they can now win the tight games. A 29-23 win over the All Blacks, a 28-26 victory in Sydney against Australia. They're finding ways to grind out wins now, too.
Exactly. The resilience is building.
Okay, so this all sounds phenomenal, but there have to be trade-offs. If you build your entire philosophy around speed and precision over brute force, where are they vulnerable? What do the metrics show?
And that's the critical question. If you look at the 2025 Rugby Championship data, you see their strengths are off the charts. They were number 1 in Rucks 1 at 97% and number 1 in tackle completion at 86%.
So world-class ball retention and defense.
Yes, but, and this is the big but, the set piece has suffered, specifically the scrum. They ranked 4th, which is last, in scrums 1 at just 87%.
There it is. That's the risk you mentioned earlier. Their old strength is now their biggest weakness.
It is a central risk factor. By focusing on mobility, you accept less scrum dominance, and in a World Cup knockout game, a powerful team can absolutely exploit that.
Let's talk personnel then, because with this new style, the backline is key. And the biggest debate seems to be at fly half, the number 10 jersey.
It's the ultimate tactical dilemma for Contepomi. It's a style versus style choice. On one hand, you have the incumbent Santiago Carreras. He's dynamic, he's instinctive, he's a fantastic runner, but his goal kicking can be inconsistent.
And the challenger
is Tomás Albornoz, and he's almost the polar opposite. He's structured, he's a great distributor, and crucially, he's a high-percentage goal kicker. He seems better suited to be that surgical game manager Contepomi's system is built for.
So does the coach go with the instinctive playmaker or the reliable general? That's a huge call to make before a World Cup.
A massive call. But what's really helping them is the depth they're building. The pipeline from their domestic Super Rugby Americas teams like Los Pumas and Los Dogos is finally starting to produce.
Right, so they're not just relying on players from European clubs anymore.
Exactly. It's creating a steady supply of talent that's already trained in the system. You're seeing young guys like the Latka Karina Lias and the prop Tomas Rapetti coming through and challenging for spots. That depth is something they haven't always had.
Okay, let's turn our focus completely to 2027, the World Cup in Australia. What are the conditions like for them there?
The environment, honestly, it could not be more perfect for Contepomi's system. Australian stadiums mean dry weather and fast tracks. It's an environment that rewards high-tempo, attacking rugby.
And they play well in Australia, don't they?
They have a statistically better record in Australia than in, say, South Africa or New Zealand. The conditions, the logistics, everything seems to align with their new fast-paced style.
So that really cements their dark horse status. But what does the market say? Are the bookmakers buying in?
The market is starting to, but I'd say they still undervalue them. Right now, Los Pumas are listed somewhere around plus 2,600, maybe plus 2,800 to win the whole thing.
Which is what, an implied probability of less than 4%?
Yeah, about 3.85%. It positions them as the 7th favorite.
That seems really low for a team that has recent wins against almost everyone ranked above them.
I agree, and most analysts do too. They're often called the longest odds team that could foreseeably win the World Cup. But for them to do it, they have to overcome those 3 big challenges we've been hinting at.
Okay, let's break them down. What's hurdle number 1?
First, and this is the historical one, is consistency. Can they string 5 elite performances together in the knockouts? They've always been able to produce a huge one-off win, but then they'd follow it with a flat performance. You can't do that in a World Cup.
Makes sense. Number 2.
Number 2 is the set-piece fragility we just talked about. That 87% scrum success rate is a real red flag. In a high-stakes semifinal against a team like France, that could be the thing that ends their tournament.
And the final hurdle?
Discipline. Their aggressive high-speed style can sometimes lead to penalties and yellow cards. The sources point to a yellow card Carreras got in a tight game in 2025. Losing a player for 10 minutes in a knockout match? That can be fatal. They have to be aggressive, but also precise.
So to sum it all up, the Contepomi era has really transformed this team. They've moved from that old forward-centric Bajada identity to a sophisticated all-round attacking force. they've proven they can beat anyone.
The pieces are all there. It's a fascinating evolution to watch.
And before we wrap, you found a surprising piece of history in the sources about their nickname, Los Pumas, that I think ties this all together perfectly.
I did, yeah. This is a great piece of trivia.
Lay it on us.
Okay, so the name Los Pumas actually comes from a mistake, a complete error. Back in 1965, on their first tour to Southern Africa, a South African journalist saw the crest on their jersey, which was a jaguar.
A jaguar?
And he confused it for a puma. He called them Los Pumas in his newspaper, and the name just stuck for over 50 years.
No way. So they were named after the wrong cat because of a typo?
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
And it gets better. The Argentinian Rugby Union only officially changed the crest from a jaguar to a puma in April of 2023, right before the last World Cup.
That is amazing. So now the image finally matches the name.
And you could argue the playing style finally matches it too. This new, agile, fast-paced identity under Contepomi feels much more like a puma than the old grinding jaguar style ever did.
A perfect alignment.
So we'll leave you with this final thought. With the image and the reality now aligned, will 2027 be the year Los Pumas finally shed that flip coin reputation and make their first ever World Cup final? Or will those three challenges, consistency, the scrum, and discipline, be too much for the doctor's surgical plan to overcome? Something to think about as you watch the next rugby championship unfold.